Hear real stories of courage, healing, and new beginnings at Refuge for Women. This is where hope is restored and futures are reclaimed.
Hello, today we are going to talk about expanding our continuum of care. And so here at Refuge for Women, we have our 3-phase model approach right now already established with our stabilization program that provides crisis stabilization for 90 days, our restoration program where our women work through our program for a year. And then currently they transition into our reintegration program where they start to practice independent living while still underneath our care. Today I have Christina Stevens joining me, and she has served in the program on front lines with our residents now for multiple years and have been able to be part of our growth. And just as we've continued to see the services that we provide and how we can continue to enhance our care for that long-term sustainability. And so I'm excited to talk about our empowerment program that we have. Currently, it is being piloted at one of our locations, but our greatest desire and dream is to expand those semi-independent living units across our locations. So Christina, I just want you to open it up and share about things that you have seen as some of the gaps as women continue to transition into independent living, and how you see Refuge is continuing just to want to step into that space and provide that long-term sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've realized is even though we have our reintegration program, oftentimes that's still not enough. Our residents are needing a little bit more time. The cost of living is so expensive nowadays, and we're finding that there's a huge gap between the amount of money that they make in their current positions compared to, once again, the cost of living or where they could live. And so at our Kentucky location, we have piloted and started what is called the empowerment program. And it's where they have 24 units that are out there so that the residents that move in are there and can have their own independent living.
Correct.
And so this is a really neat opportunity because there are also units that have 2 bedrooms as opposed to 1. And so some of them are able to reunite with their children and are able to move them in and start, moving forward in their life as a family again.
Yeah, so I think last year in 2025, having the empowerment program open and up and running, we had the opportunity to serve 16 children at our Kentucky location. And so one of the greatest things that we've seen, we've been doing this for a while together, and there have been residents that have completed our program with the desire and the opportunity to reunify with their children. And just the way our current program model is set up, that's not an opportunity we've had to be able to offer to them. And so we've utilized various resources in the community to connect for that warm handoff, as they can continue to work on living life on life's terms, but also, learning how to be a single mom at this stage of the program. So as you have been serving, where do you see the value add of the empowerment program? Earlier in an episode, we talked about how when I first got involved with Refuge, the program was only 9 months long. We didn't even have what we have today, but extending that continuum of care for the women to then move into the semi-independent living opportunity with the empowerment program, and that being at least 5 years, if not longer. What do you see as some of the benefits and adds that can help them plant some deeper roots in more security?
Yeah. So I think the name empowerment program says it all.
Yeah.
When one of the residents step into their own home that they can call theirs, it builds a sense of confidence and that ability of, wow, I look at what I've achieved, look at what I can, manage now. And so I think with the confidence, there's also continued healing that we're able to provide while they're in it. we're able to still provide counseling and case management as needed. And so it really helps build up their character and takes them to a place where they're able to finally have enough confidence to hopefully live on their own as well.
Right.
And so it's really neat to hear the stories of, you know, them being proud of it. I know I saw one resident post on social media pictures of her home, and she was like, my little space, you know, and she was just so proud of it. And I just love to see that, because I know when they originally come into the program, they often don't have anything.
Yeah.
And so to see them come in with nothing and then move over to their own apartment, or maybe even reuniting with their children, it's just something that's really awesome to see.
Yeah, and being able to provide that space within our community. You know, I think when not only oftentimes do the women come to our program with no physical belongings, but they also are just starting all over again with their spheres of influence and community and relationships. And so when women go through our program, they oftentimes stay in the community, because that's where they're going to their support group meetings, they're going to church, they've created relationships with mentors, counselors, small groups, all the things. And so to be able to provide independent living opportunities in the same communities that the women went through program in is huge, because we often become that community that they stay connected with, you know, in those primitive years post-program. Because we talk a lot while they're going through program is the world's still the world out there, you know, and so providing this type of housing opportunity for them, we've just seen a lot more success come out of the women who've been able to work through that so far in Kentucky. And so let's talk about expansion. You know, we have the 5 locations across the United States. And I think over this last year, we have really honed in that this is a huge gap in the services that we know that we could elevate and enhance for the women. And so being a director of programs and having an opportunity to see the impact that we make nationwide, how do you see expansion happening and just being able to continue to enhance the services that we do?
Yeah, I would love to see an empowerment program at each one of our current locations. You just hit on the fact that when they're in program, they're building a community of people around them. They're getting included in the church and in different recovery programs. And so to have each location be able to open their own so that it's an easier transition for the resident to move out of reintegration and into the empowerment program, it would just be a lot easier for the resident. It wouldn't make them feel like they're starting over per se.
Yeah.
And it just continues to keep that relationship between the community that they've built already along with the resident.
Yeah, yeah. I also think in having the opportunity to really understand, you know, the difference that the empowerment program is making in Kentucky. I know early in my recovery years, going through our own steps, you know, addicts sponsor addicts, codependents sponsor codependents. And that's one of the things we really try to protect at Refuge too, is that all the women that go through our program have experienced some form of exploitation at some point in their life. And when you can live in a community of women, in an apartment style community or independent living housing community, with other women that you know what you've been through, they are also able to form their own little community out there of encouragement and support and helping share rides or helping watch each other's kids, or really encouraging and networking with opportunities that they've even come across in the community just to help each other along. And so it really just becomes this sisterhood that forms. And when you have people that have the same life experience, but also have the same goals, they really can kind of iron sharpen iron within that community setting. That is just, it's beautiful, it's natural, it's organic. And then it also just brings some form of dignity to the women because they can help each other, you know? And so I was talking with a friend of mine a couple nights ago, actually, and we were just discussing how you can't come near to this cause, whether you're moved by it or you also are a graduate and want to give back and engage somehow. And so let's lean into that a little bit. As a serving on the front lines and being a program director in the house, what were some of the commonalities that you see of just the dreams and the desires with women, especially as they're trying to build a career and being able to afford life on life's terms again? Having an empowerment program and being able to provide more of an on-ramp, back into life. What are some of those exciting things that you've seen women go on to be able to do post-program?
Yeah, so I've got to see a lot of really neat things. I've seen some residents that while they're in the reintegration program, they're able to start pursuing like different certifications. Usually these certifications take 9 months to a year, where that takes the entire time of the reintegration program.
Yeah.
And so then from there, I'm able to see them go and get jobs. I know we had one resident who just got her certification to be a massage therapist. And so now she's working doing that. And so that's really fun to see. I've seen residents, able to save enough money and get their own cars and add that extra independence to their life. And it's interesting because thankfully the residents that I've personally worked with, after leaving the reintegration program, they oftentimes will end up moving into another house and still partnering up and being roommates so that they could be able to afford the cost of living. And so once again, I just think that if all locations were able to add an empowerment program where they could, once they're done, buying their car, pursuing continuing education and all of that sort of things.
Paying for insurance, cell phones,
yes.
Wi-Fi, all the things.
Yes, everything, yeah. Then they would be able to have their own place that they could just call their own and take pride in that as well.
Yeah. And you touched earlier on just the cost of living, and finding a place to live these days is very expensive. And so when you are starting again, and it takes time to earn a livable wage, being able to provide affordable housing, refuge style, to our graduates is definitely a huge next step. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today and just having this conversation around our desire and goal and dream to expand our empowerment program. If you sat through and listened to us today, I really appreciate your time. I hope you've heard that our heart and our desire here at Refuge is just to continue to enhance the services that we see that women need for that long-term success as they transition back into full independent living. Our greatest desire is that we can just continue to provide all the solutions and step in the gaps where we see there is a need, to be able just to come alongside of her and serve her into her long-term goals and dreams and desires that she has for her own future. So as always, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to hear from you, and thank you so much for your time.